This is part 2 of the Problem Solving Mistaken Behaviors screencast. We're going to talk quickly about some quick intervention strategies. So first, negotiation reminders is really to validate what the children are saying and feeling and providing prompts or modeling to have them talk to each other. So this might be where children are fighting over the same toy, and it's saying something like, you both really want to use this toy, and I know that you both really feel strongly about this. I wonder what you might say to work on this. You might say, I had it first. And I will give it to you when I'm done. Or you can have it first. Please give it to me when you're done. Those kinds of things where you can provide prompts or modeling. So next is humor, and this really relieves the tension. You don't want to use it at the expense of a child or to diminish their feelings, but you want to use it to kind of get them to see that you're listening and try a new way around it. So I worked with a family for a lot of years whose son could get really anxious and uptight, and they used humor with him a lot. So they would, talk about getting pajamas on quickly because it was after bedtime. They would need to read, and he would start to get anxious, like, oh my gosh, if I don't do this fast enough, then we won't get to read. And he wouldn't express this out loud, but he would get anxious and he would shut down. Or he would run away, or he would not be able to really perform. So they would turn it around and say something like, I bet you're going to put your shirt on your feet and your pants on your head. And then kind of make it silly like that. And then he'd be like, no, ha, and he would run off and do it. So using humor can really help relieve the tension when there are feelings like anxiety or stress related to something going on. Nonverbal techniques are also really important. I cannot overstate the importance of nonverbal techniques, and I think we underuse these in the classroom frequently. We tend to think that children will only get the message if we talk, and really there's a lot of messages you can convey nonverbally. If you're trying to build a relationship with a child, gentle touches go a long way. Hugs, back rubs, stroking arms, that kind of thing really can let them know that you're there, and you don't even necessarily have to say anything along with it. For children you know better and have a strong relationship with, sometimes just giving them that look from across the room lets them know that you see that they're about to do something that you don't prefer, and that can really turn it around. Sometimes just getting closer to a situation as it escalates and not saying anything but just monitoring it lets kids know you're paying attention, and it kind of jolts them into having a different reaction. Also, remember that you can explain what's going on, but you want to keep it short, sweet, and specific. Children remember the last thing you tell them. So this is a lot like I statements. You don't want to say, remember, playing in the block area is fun with your friends, but you need to be safe. Don't throw the blocks. Because the last thing they heard was, don't throw the blocks. And then they drop the don't, and they hear throw the blocks. If you say don't throw the blocks, really the only option is do or don't throw the blocks. I don't really know what to do with the blocks. So instead, you can say, I see you guys are getting kind of rowdy in the block area. I know you really want to use the blocks. I look forward to seeing you build with them. And then just move on. And then later you might want to look back and be like, gosh, look at that building. That's really cool. But notice that I gave them the action I want to see versus the action I don't want to see. So tattletaling is a thing that we legitimately deal with in the classroom all of the time. And I really love this comic. I'm not being a tattletale, I'm being a reliable source, because that's really how children see themselves, that if the teacher knew what was going on, this thing wouldn't have happened or wouldn't be happening. And it's their job to let the teacher know. So we're going to try to decipher the difference between tattling and reporting. And there's two ways to really know if a child is tattling or reporting. One is, what are their motives? And the other is, if we really know developmentally appropriate practice, and we know that child, we will know their motives. We can kind of quickly know the child who's reporting to us because they think something's unsafe and they need our help, versus the child who is constantly coming to tell us that something is wrong, that they feel we need to fix. So we're going to go through a scenario here of a child knows something and they want to tell the teacher. So in reporting, we follow up, and the message to the child that they internalize is, wow, the teacher listened to me. What I say must be important. And then they think, oh, the teacher modeled how to solve that problem. I can do it myself or with less help next time. Now, they might not do it by themselves the next time, every time you do this, but if you consistently model and provide strategies for mediation and negotiation with children, the children will start to learn that and they will use those techniques. The other outcome is, even though the teacher didn't do what I wanted or I thought they would, they still listened to me. They must like me. And as we've talked about this whole class, we cannot underestimate the importance of how important it is for children to think we like them. It's really essential to the success of children in the classroom to feel valued and liked. So let's look at this differently. In a tattle scenario, it starts the same. I know something and I want to tell the teacher. However, if we don't follow up with that child, or if we say, stop tattling, I can't help you with that, or I've told you 100 times, go back and figure it out, if we kind of blow it off, or say, oh, that's not a big deal, don't worry about it, then the child thinks, the teacher blew me off. What I say must not be important. I need to continue to try to get their attention, or I can ignore my feelings. So that is a really difficult message to send with children, because when we send this message, then we tend to get tattletaling, where it gets more frequent that they bring stuff to us because they want us to see them. Or they have more acting out behavior because we have not made them feel seen. So here are some follow-up strategies for mistaken behavior. One is reflective listening. This allows children to release their emotion and lessens the drive to act on the impulse. So this is where we really sit with them and say, I see you feel, or I think you feel, or I am noticing. Tell me about that. And then guidance talks is really about talking with children as opposed to talking at them. And this encourages children to think about how their actions made others feel and what they can do differently next time. So reflective listening and guidance talks both have that same aim. So additional follow-up strategies are teacher-child negotiation, which establishes mutual respect. Including children's ideas, you might throw out a few ideas and say, does anybody else have another idea? Again, when children employ a solution, it doesn't have to be the perfect solution, and it doesn't have to be one that we would pick, so long as it allows them to feel resolution and move on. And then reconciliation is brainstorming ways to help all parties feel better. And the important part here is that apologies should never be forced. When we require children to say they're sorry or give a hug or both, whenever there is a conflict between children or whenever there's a hurt, children learn to lie about their feelings. So we all have had this experience where someone says, oh yeah, sorry. And what you really hear is, sorry, not sorry. And that's a result of us forcing people to apologize when it's not genuine. So what I will often say to children is, so-and-so needs something to help them feel better. What do you think you can do to help them? Here are some ideas. You can say you're sorry. You can give them a hug. You can draw them a picture. If a child really doesn't seem like they can do any of those things, I'll say it looks like you're not ready right now, but you might be ready later. I'll connect with you later and see. And then I let them move on, then I move on and be like, okay, let's move on and do other things. Sometimes if reconciliation can't happen right away to the child with the hurt feelings, I might say, I'm really sorry for what happened to you. Is there something I can do to help you feel better right now? And so that they're getting that feeling that they need. Then later, as I see the child who might need to make reconciliation, when I see them being in a better mood or playing or being happier, or even like a quiet time, like a rest time, or after rest time, I might say to them, I'm just thinking about what happened earlier and you didn't seem ready to make it better for the other child, but you seem to be doing a little bit better now. Is there something you think you could do to help the child from earlier? And then we might go through some ideas then. So it is never too late to make reconciliation. For some of us, we need more time to process the issue or to move on from our own feelings before we can be there for other people's feelings. So that's the end of the problem solving mistaken behavior screencast part 2.